As any Pokemon fan will know, there's often times when one of our friends evolves into something a little less than great. I'm sure you can all think of some examples. Maybe you prefer Charmander to Charizard. Maybe you like cat Pokemon but think Purugly is ugly. Or maybe like me, you're just looking for a new challenge. You see, most players will evolve all of their Pokemon to their final forms as fast as possible. Each stage of evolution comes with a significant boost to all the Pokemon's stats and often also gives you access to a more powerful selection of moves. There are a few cases where you want to keep a Pokemon unevolved for longer. I see you over there, Shroomish. But in general, the only thing you're doing by stopping evolution is making life harder for yourself. Well, I've been playing these games for decades at this point, so I'm looking for a challenge. Let's do an entire playthrough of Pokemon Red with only basic Pokemon. We'll take some inspiration from other challenge runs and also the Little Cup rule set. That means for us to use a Pokemon, it needs to be able to evolve but be in its lowest possible form. That means no Scyther in this game. We're also going to avoid using items in battle as much as possible. The challenge is using rubbish Pokemon, not our wallet. To make it simple, I'll put the entire selection of Pokemon we can use on the screen. It's pretty dire. Even the usual powerhouses like Dragonite are extremely limited when we can only use a Dratini, with massively lowered stats and a heavily limited move pool. This should be a challenge. We start off our journey in Pallet Town as usual and head to Oak's lab. We're already faced with an interesting choice between Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. In a standard playthrough, Bulbasaur is the easiest, Squirtle is somewhere in the middle, and Charmander is the hardest, as the early game has you facing Brock's Rock Gym and then Misty's Water Gym. Normally, if you start with Charmander, you can pick up a Caterpie and evolve it into Butterfree, which gives you access to Confusion to beat Brock's gym. But we can't do that, so he might be a problem. If we don't take Charmander, it'll be a very long time before we gain access to any fire moves, but the later fire types tend to have better stats and better move pools. Similarly, there aren't that many good water Pokemon we can access before getting Surf and the Good Rod, so if we don't take Squirtle here, then that could become an issue. We would get access to a lot of water types later with useful secondary typings like rock or poison, which could help us a lot. Grass types though in Gen 1 are a bit rubbish. Nearly all of them are part poison type, and none of them really offer anything that Bulbasaur doesn't. So we pick him and we call him Tutti Frutti. My evil alter ego chooses Charmander and he could have taken us down in the first fight if it wasn't for his insistence on growling at us. We beat him and head out of the lab. We start our journey and take care of all the usual stuff, delivering Oak's package and getting the Pokedex. You'll be dreaming for a while, Professor Oak. We're only catching basics this time. We head back to Viridian City to buy our first Pokeballs. Along the way, Tutti Frutti learns Leech Seed, which may be a move we keep for the entire run. Originally, I skipped getting the map, but then I realised there's no town map in the Gen 1 Poke Centres and I need it for footage, so I went all the way back and grabbed it. Pain. Okay, we're back, and it's time to catch some Pokemon. There's actually quite a lot of options right now, but unfortunately, most of them suck. We have access to routes 1, 2, and 22, and Viridian Forest. Here's all the Pokemon we have available. All of the bug Pokemon are totally pointless without evolving as they learn no moves, and we can get a better Electric type than Pikachu later on, so that's the forest ruled out. Route 22 has both Nidorans, but in Red and Blue they don't learn Double Kick until level 43, and the rest of their moves suck. In Pokemon Yellow, Mankey is added to this area, so if we were playing that we'd pick him up, but we're not. That leaves the birds and the rat. We're actually extremely limited on which flying types we can use, with only Zubat and Doduo available later, so we'll either take Spearow or Pidgey. Spearow has a higher attack and a slightly better move pool, so we grab one. I name it Jack, see if you can guess why. As to the rat, it's not a terrible choice. The stats are pretty bad, but it learns Hyper Fang at level 14. This powerhouse of a move is 80 base power, gets the same type attack bonus, but does have a chance to miss. He also lands a lot of TM moves, but most of them are special and he's a physical attacker. We pick one up for now, but we might replace him later. I name him Joey, why wouldn't you? I head to the forest and get a few extra levels on Jack, and we come across the most adorable Weedle sprite I have ever seen. Look at him, he looks amazing. We actually ran into a Pikachu while killing wild bugs, and seeing as it's only a 5% encounter rate, we may as well catch it. I name it Zappy, but we probably won't use it. I also managed to get an encounter without even moving, which is a new one for me. After the fight, my character turned round, so maybe it's a weird quirk with Gen 1, and we all know there's plenty of those. Once Jack hits level 8, we head back to Route 22 for the optional rival fight. My alter ego won't beat itself. His Pidgey knows sand attack, so this fight can get a little scary. We open with Tutti Frutti because for some reason Gust is normal type in Gen 1, so Pidgeys are no real threat to us. I start with a Leech Seed and get immediately sand attacked. He throws so much sand we can barely land a hit, so Leech Seed does most of the work. By the time Tutti Frutti goes down, Pidgey is almost dead. Jack comes out, makes short work of the Pidgey, and destroys Charmander. He's still just desperate to growl at us for some reason. With that done, we heal and head towards Pewter City. It's pretty uneventful. Jack has Peck, which wrecks early bug types, and Tutti Frutti can't be poisoned. We need to get to level 13 though if Tutti Frutti is going to learn Vine Whip in time for Brock, so I let him handle most of the fights. On to the gym, and I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that we destroyed them. The junior trainers Diglett and Sandshrew went down to 4 Vine Whips, and Brock's Geodude and Onix are both 4 times weak to grass, so we one-shot them. Easy. Next up is a trainer gauntlet heading to Mount Moon, and it's mostly the same Pokemon we've been facing so far. We'll try and level up Jack and use Tutti Frutti against the tougher enemies. The youngsters Ekans nearly finished us off thanks to Gen 1 Rep, which stops you from attacking, but Jack saved the day. Along the way, Tutti Frutti hit level 16 and tried to evolve. There's no held items in Gen 1, so no Everstone. That means I have to manually cancel their evolution every time he levels up for the rest of the game. I better save a lot in case I mess it up. It would suck to have to redo a section of the game just because one of my Pokemon evolves by accident. With the trainers clear, we gain access to the wild Pokemon in Route 3 and Mount Moon, but to be honest, it's still slim piggin'. We can also buy a Magikarp in the Mount Moon Pokemon Center, but have you seen this thing? It learns nothing and has terrible stats, but I mashed A too fast when I was getting footage of it, so I bought it by accident. Into the box you go. In terms of new Pokemon, we can pick up a Jigglypuff, Satan, Zubat, Paras, or Geodude. Jigglypuff's moveset isn't the worst, and it learns Sing, which could help with other catches, so I grab one. Catching this thing is a pain. It only knows Sing, which has 55% accuracy, so it should miss a lot, right? While I was catching it, this thing landed 10 Sings and only missed twice. Watch me miss every single time I use the move now. I named it Puff Daddy, which I'm surprised actually fit. We put it at the front of the party to switch train and head into Mount Moon. The only other Pokemon I'm interested in here is a Geodude, as normal resists can be quite useful early on. I decided ours was a girl and named it Dudette. By the way, Jigglypuff missed the first 2 Sings I tried. Great start. I grab the Water Gun TM and get to work clearing the place out. I tried to get some levels on our new additions so it's slow going, but mostly uneventful. The main problem is running out of power points, so halfway through I take a trip back to the centre and heal, and finish off the cave. At the end of the cave we get to choose a fossil. I usually don't think about this choice too much as I rarely use the fossil Pokemon. With such a limited pool available though, they could be worth it. Kabuto is more physical while Omnite has higher special. They have almost identical move pools and no rock moves at all, so Omnite seems like the better choice. We emerge into Route 4 and Dudette immediately faints. Stupid poison. In the grass here we can catch an Ekans, but I don't really want one. If we were playing blue it would be Sandshrew and I'd probably pick one up, but we're not, so I head to the city. After healing up, my first stop is the gym. Our team is a little all over the place right now, but Tutti Frutti has Vine Whip, so hopefully we'll make short work of the water types inside the gym. We cover the place in vines, defeating water Pokemon left and right. Even Starmie, who could survive a little better, couldn't do enough to stop the wrath of Tutti Frutti, and a few short minutes later, we were the proud owners of the Cascade Badge. Next time, we have a rival fight, which could be a little rough, and then the game really starts to open up a bit more, giving us plenty of new options for our team. Keep your eyes peeled for part 2 as the adventure of a guy and a bunch of weenie Pokemon continues.